Hi, today's video is all about the Tamron 150 to 500mm zoom lens. And here it is. It's a big chunky thing. It's great for wildlife photography. It's great for sports, anything you're going to need a big long zoom range. I needed a lens for wildlife, sometimes shooting airplanes, all kinds of things. I had the 70 to 300 by Tamron, but it didn't quite have enough reach for what I wanted. So I looked around, I found this for sale. The guy who had it before wanted to get rid of it because it was a little bit too heavy for him. It is quite a weighty thing, and it comes in at, excuse me, I'm going to read this off a piece of paper. For the Sony E-mount version, it is 1,725 grams. For Fuji, it's 1,710 grams, and for Nikon it is 1,720 grams. So quite a big chunky thing, but still lighter than a lot of other big zoom lenses. It's another thing that appealed to me. It's reached up to 500. It's not quite 600mm, which sometimes I do think I'd like a little bit more reach, but if you're doing video you can crop it into APS-C mode, or if you've got a high megapixel camera you can crop it down a little bit more. If you have an APS-C camera, fantastic. It's got a lot of range. It's equivalent of 750mm. But going in at 750, you do get some slight defects, like you might see the heat coming off the ground or the heat in the atmosphere. It's sharp. In fact, that's the thing that impressed me most about this. With something like this where I'm doing wildlife, I want something sharp where you can actually go into something, maybe crop a little bit if you're taking a picture of a bird or something like that, and you get a nice sharp image, and it is very good for that. Focus is not always perfect on it, but most of the time you'll get your shot. It's an f5 to f6.7, so it's not the best for low light. It's good enough for outdoor shooting, and with most modern cameras nowadays you can crank up the ISO a little bit, and maybe if you've got the software remove any noise, but it's not the worst either. I mean, a lot of lenses recently Canon brought out are like f8, f11, so it has 3 buttons on it. Up to a voiceover for this part. VC mode, or vibration control. Basically it's IBIS for the lens. So mode 1 is basic control, so it's your basic IBIS. Mode 2 is panning mode, so if you're tracking a bird or a wild animal and you want to pan it left to right, that controls the IBIS for that. Mode 3 priorities framing, so a kind of tripod mode, so if you hold the lens still, it should keep it as still as possible to keep the subject in the center of the lens and not move around too much. To be honest, there's not a huge difference between the modes, but they all help. VC control or vibration control on and off, and pretty much you're going to want to keep it on. Autofocus and manual focus on or off, what it says on the tin basically. Next switch is a focus limiter. Full is the full focus area, which is a tongue twister, from close to infinity. Infinity to 3 meters is basically anything from infinity to 3 meters away. Infinity to 15 meters is basically anything from infinity to 15 meters. It keeps it within those areas, so the focusing should be quicker in theory. This one is to lock the lens. Basically, if it's in the smallest mode, so it's 150mm and the lens is as small as possible, you can lock it to stop lens creep. Okay, the flex lock. Something handy with the flex lock. So the flex lock is where you get the zoom ring, you can push it forward and it locks the zoom ring. It stops it moving backwards and forwards, so you can hold it at one focal range, such as 150mm or 300mm, 500mm, something like that, which is very handy, though sometimes you forget about it and try and turn it and you're thinking, why doesn't it turn? Something nice with this is if you go from 500mm, knocks it down to f6.7. Now if you roll that back just a little bit to around 497mm, the f-stop drops from f6.7 to f6.3, which gives it a little bit more light, and then you can lock it in place. And as you can see on this video here, that's next to nothing. It's very heavy for handheld. Alright, now and again, so if you're doing a quick shoot with it, and you can hold the tripod mount here, you can either move it around, put it off, you can even take it off, but I don't recommend that. So you can hold it here, you can get quite a steady shot, but for long periods of time it is heavy, so I thought I'd warn you of that. I travelled with it last year when I was visiting relatives in Japan, I brought this with me, and I managed to bring it in my suitcase. I wouldn't actually bring it on carry-on because it was very heavy, and I brought quite a lot of, well, too much camera equipment with me. But I did get some really good pictures. For example, I got some pictures of some kites, as you can see here, the flying ones, the bird ones. And I got really, really nice shots in a boat around an island with wild monkeys in it, and I managed to get these shots. I'm really, really happy because the boat was moving around, but I still managed to get these, what I call very sharp shots. Hopefully you think so too. On the boat, bouncing up and down, managed to get this fast shutter speed, bang, got the pictures. Very happy with that. And because it has inbuilt stabilization, that does help a lot. Though, it can be a bit funny when you're moving it and panning it, depending what setting you have it on. But it really did help for these shots. It helped a lot. I've had it also sometimes where if the focus distance is set wrong, it'll always try and focus too short or too close. And sometimes it's so out of focus you can't actually see what's going on. Sometimes you have to tap on the screen to get a focus point, then go from there. It's also really good for close focusing. As you can see with this spider here, it was actually up in the corner of the room as I was recording this video. I can zoom right into it and you get a nice, not macro, but a nice close focus. I put it into APS-C crop mode on my A7 IV, and you got nice and close to it, and you get this nice close view. And yes, I did blow on the web just to get it moving, to demonstrate it wasn't just a photo. As you can see on the list here, you can get really nice and close and get some nice shots. If I walked any closer, it would have run away. Overall feelings on this lens, I love it. It's so sharp. I'm not super into super sharp lenses normally because I do a lot of video, but when I'm taking pictures or doing wildlife, you want that kind of sharpness, and this is great for that. It's easy to use. It's really cheap, especially if you get it secondhand. I picked this up for about some ridiculous price, like £400 or £500. I think it might even been less than that, but it was around £400, say. I want to do this video because I got such nice images out of it, and I want to share. You don't really see many videos on this lens, and it is a really good, I'd say, beginner to intermediate kind of wildlife shooter. Once you're getting above that level, then obviously you're going to look at either the Sony 200, 600, or you're even going to look at some primes, which are extremely expensive, tens of thousands. Depends what you do. But for someone like me who does it as a hobby now and again, great lens. I managed to bring it halfway around the world. Could use it for travel in a pinch, and if you want light, go Micro Four Thirds or APS-C anyway. It's got an 82mm filter thread. So look at that, you can see there, big bit of glass at the front there. In fact, if I take this off, I don't like that. That feels really cheap. And you can see the size of it here without the lens cap. So if you are traveling with it, if you reverse it, it's annoying to put this on, but if you reverse it, it's not so bad if you're traveling with that. In fact, it is quite small when you look at it that way. But if you do, put the cap on there, and I'll undo the lock button. There you go, that's how big it goes to. Really, really happy with it. I will keep on using it. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to see you again soon in my next one. Thanks. Bye bye.